work in your head. That is very different from a general practitioner of psychotherapy, where it's like, talking about your feelings, redirecting. Here, it's talking about what is what is making everything tick in here, dealing with the triggers, the traumas that may not have been entirely addressed at the time. And even though we did surface level deal with them in my first year of therapy, but there was still a lot of work to be done. So the second year, they did another update on my diagnosis, right? So now we went from mild depression in 2012, right? Right? Mild depression. 2020, we are dealing with moderate depression, mild anxiety, and with medication. Now, 2021, we're dealing with no medication this time. Now we're dealing with a clearer view of the picture in my life, which is recurrent depressive disorder and mild anxiety. So that's all there. It's all there. Now we had a clearer picture of what's going on in my head. So now we have an understanding that the way depression works in my head is that there'll be months on end I'll be fine. I'll be just, you know what I mean? I'll be good, doing my thing, on my grind, whatever. But then there'll be that moment where depression hits me like a ton of bricks. If I had to be very, very honest and very sincere in terms of like how often those episodes hit me, I would say at minimum every 3 months, at best, no, at worst, and at best maybe every 6 to 9 months. Which for me, that's pretty damn dope because it's like it barely hits me. But now I'm seeing a cognitive behavioral therapist. Anxiety, it was given in the first year of therapy, second year of therapy. Now it came to more about controlling it. Now, by this point of May 2021, June 2021, depression had gotten to a point where it exists, it would happen, but no longer had much of a grip on me anymore. It just wasn't really taking absolute control of me. Now, if we were to talk about, dating during the pandemic, that's a whole different story because it's like, if I thought about it, I hadn't been single, like fully single, as in like, if we were to go back, right, for my dating life, usually the time gaps between girlfriends was just like 6 months, 3 months, maybe a year at most. But now, between September 2020 to later in 2021, we're talking a year. And I'm trying to figure out, like, do I really want to date? Who's out there? And not only that, how people date, how people communicate now in 2021 is very different from how it was. And then not only that, how people are in Tampa versus how they are in New York City, which I'll be honest with you, ain't that much different. Girls in New York, they move faster. But in terms of issues, complicated mess down here, no different than up here. So now we can all agree that, no matter where you live, everyone's got issues. That's just how it is. And look, I'm not saying good or bad. It's just, that's just life, man. And that's okay. We get it. Everyone's valid to some point and degree, right? So then now, my therapist, we're trying to understand triggers. So now that's when we actually start talking about like what school life was like in high school. What things did I deal with, So, we started talking about how I used to be called a fake white Puerto Rican F word. I'm not going to say it because I ain't trying to get in trouble here. But obviously it is a slur towards people of the, the alphabet community. I'll just say it like that because, there's a lot of letters and I don't feel like, And the thing was, it was just weird because, I was a teenager. And I'll be honest with you, sexuality just wasn't much of a thing for me as a kid. It wasn't because of my parents. It wasn't because of even my church upbringing. I just really wasn't fixated on sex. I wasn't fixated on a lot of sexual stuff. It wasn't my obsession at all. Like, while other people were raging hormones and rah, testosterone, estrogen, I was kind of like, okay. I was more caught up in the thought of romance, love, family, uh, wanting to just be with someone as partnership and just live life with someone, you know. Because, yeah, I could be alone, but do I want to? Now, there's a difference. There's a difference between needing someone and wanting someone. A lot of times, if you're stuck in the I need to be with someone, chances are there's some codependency involved there. Now, if you're desiring with someone, that's different. I had to unlearn and relearn all that in my second year of therapy. And that's when I started learning more and understanding more. I'm like, yeah, for me, I don't need someone. I don't. I really don't. Like, with or without someone, I continue to exist. Just like how, I know it's far-fetched, but I might as well say it. Well, I don't need God. And God's like, okay, I'm still existing anyway. Whatever, dude. um, that's just how it is for me. Like, it's like, I could live with having someone in my life, and I could live with not having someone in my life. But ideally, I would like to have someone in my life that I can share with, have fun with, laugh, cry, fart, adventure with, have romantic moments with. Those are things I enjoy. Those are things I value and appreciate. It ain't rocket science, I'm a very simple kind of man. Not meaning to reference Leonard Skinner, but hey. And the thing is, I'm also very straightforward when it comes to what I desire, what my ambitions are with someone and everything. Like, I ain't looking to freaking build an empire. I ain't trying to take over the world. I ain't trying to you know, be a super alpha male female couple, unga bunga. I don't care about any of those things. I just want to be with someone that remotely likes me and laughs at my corny ass jokes. That's really all it is. It ain't that hard. Come on now. And these are things that me and my therapist laughed about because it's like, yo, I mean, it's kind of silly, but pretty valid. I mean, like, the more I start understanding how simple I am as a man and as a person, the more I start realizing, like, the reason I was frustrated so much with dating, with marriage, with relationships in general, was because of the lack of acceptance of the reality of who I am. Like, it's like, I'm a simple dude, and if people can't handle that, that's their problem. That's not my problem. That's their problem, not mine. Just like how if I can't handle certain people because a certain way, guess what? That's not their problem. That's my problem. I'm the one that's choosing not to deal with them. I'm the one that says, I can't deal with this. That's not on them. That's on me. And then I have to come and cope with it. Be like, all right, well, if I can't be with that type of person, if I can't really tolerate being around those type of people, then what am I doing entertaining it then? Just move. It's kind of like if you're driving, like, okay, so someone's there sitting at the bus stop or just hanging around there at 11:30 at night and you're driving. So, what's that got to do with where you're trying to go? Keep moving. Like, because you keep fixating on that, you know what can happen? You go look at another person like, why did they do that? Next thing you know, a car gonna hit you from behind. Why? Because you got fixated on something that got nothing to do with where you're trying to go. Like, if it got nothing to do with where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, just keep moving. Just keep moving. And that was another thing I ended up learning about myself in cognitive behavioral therapy. I fixated too much on everyone else around me and what everyone else wanted. But then when it came down to, Ronnie, what about you? Where are you trying to go? Like, what is it you ultimately want out of yourself? And that's when I was like, oh shit, someone actually asked what I want for myself, what I want out of myself. Like, my mind was blown when my therapist really confronted me about that. And that's when we started digging. And like, not to be cheesy, but yo, Persona 5 was an amazing game for this reason, because it was talking about the collective unconscious, dealing with the shadow, the true self, and all that Carl Jung stuff. And I started digging deep with myself on it. I was like, damn, like, I started looking at like suppressed parts of me, and I was like, why did I even suppress you, bro? I actually like you. Like, I had to suppress that part of me because other people didn't like you, that like that side of you. Why'd you do that? You dumbed yourself down to please other people. And it's like, ooh, that's when it hit me really hard, because it's like, because I want to say between 2014 all the way to 2019, I had to deal with the whole, please other people or else. And then because of fixating on appeasing to others, when it came to what I actually wanted for myself, I had actually neglected. And I'm not talking about things, material, because for me, look, I'll be real with y'all. I got my PS4. I have my phone. I have my Mac. I have my sketchbooks. I have my comics. I have my mangas. I have my guitars, my instruments. Right? I have what I need on a physical plane. I really don't desire too much, because like, I'm extremely stupid simple. Like, I can look at the man in the mirror and say, you know what? This is all I've ever wanted in my life. How dare everyone complicate it for me? No, Ronnie, this is what you want. It's like, when you really think about it, I had been entertaining too many salesmen in my life. Now, I'm not talking literal salesmen. I'm talking like people like always trying to sell themselves or sell their idea to me in a way so that I can hop on whatever it is they want or what they believe. And then when I thought about it, when I really came down with myself, I'm like, why did I even do that? Like, what was the point of that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I didn't need to entertain these people. Why did I? Or why did I just sit there and get strung along with this when really it had nothing to do with my existence or with what I needed to fulfill in my existence of life with the life I have? And those are things I have to think about. It's just those things, it's like, like I really start really thinking on that. And it got to where, as the sessions kept going, and then it started revolving more about the dynamic between me and my daughter. The things that really work her, things that work me, that type of thing. Let me change the lighting now that the sunlight outside is finally dimming, so now I can actually tweak up the lighting in my room a tad. I usually change it depending on how it is outside. That's really how it is when it comes down to it. Give me 1 second, folks. Nah, that's too bright. Red, blue's okay. I could. This blue, maybe green. Nah, go with blue. All right, cool. Why not? All right. So, here's my thing, right? The more I started thinking about it, and the dynamic of my daughter, then it comes down to this, right? There's my love of self. Something contrary to some people, I've never truly loved myself as much as I should have. Because for me, I hinged my self-worth and love on how other people loved me. People pleasing. And then I realized that's no good at all. Unacceptable. Like, absolutely unacceptable. Because then that fractures and injures my sense of self-realization and self-development. That was a hard pill to swallow. But the thing is, I swallowed that pill during the latter half of 2021 and early 2022. So it was a lot easier to swallow. I had some water. It wasn't exactly a horse pill, but still bad enough. So with that in mind, I get some more OJ because OJ is awesome. I had to come to grips with it, right? And to be honest, the more I became more self-accepting, more self-loving, the easier it started to become. The easier it started becoming to be a dad to my kid, even easier than it already was. Because for me, some people, they're like, oh my God, what do I do to be a dad? This and that. Don't get me wrong. As I said previously, there's no manual saying how to be the perfect dad. And there's no such thing as a perfect parent. Doesn't exist. Sorry. Anyone sitting there trying to put a perfection and parentalism all in one, you're in for disappointment. Just saying. But my ambition to be a great dad or be the best dad I could possibly be, since the day I learned my daughter was going to come to this world, my brain was there. My brain was like, man, what do I do to help my kid out? What can I do? How can I help? All while not figuring out about how to take care of me. But now I'm in a position now where, and I learned this in parenting divorce class back in 2017. That whole concept, because I know a lot of people don't even have kids like to talk this shit. But I'm going to say it now. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your kid. Period. You have to make sure you're not sinking so that your kid doesn't sink. Because guess what? If you're making sure the kid stays afloat, but you sink, guess what? You just left the kid floating around by yourself. Which means not only you fucked, your kid's fucked too. And that falls on you. Alright? So for me, in therapy, I understood that analogy far more than I did when I took that class. Like I was like, I get this now. It's like now it really converged. Like the elements of causality have begun to converge in existence. And that's when it hit me. That's when I was like, okay, now this makes a lot more sense now when I first learned this. Because some people, they'll straight up tell you, no, the kid always comes first. The kid always comes first. I was like, when it comes to relationships, yes, if you are a parent, when it comes to people outside yourself, yeah, your kid is going to come first. I will not debate that. I will not argue that. That is a given every time. But when it comes to the self, you have to take care of yourself first. Your identity needs to be given a full bill of health. You have to accept yourself, love yourself, embrace who you are, and then optimize it. So that way, when you shift gears into parent mode, your kid is seeing a healthier version of you, and as a result, your relationship, all thumbs up from there. Yeah, it ain't gonna be perfect. It's gonna bump heads and stuff. Ain't nothing new. Don't get me wrong. I love my daughter. She is the love of my life. Sorry, because guess what? Girlfriends come and go. My kid, I only got one. I gotta make it count. She's close to being part of the 9-year-old army, so I gotta make it count. I gotta give the kid the love. And honestly, if I'm gonna be real with y'all, I literally go to bed whenever I do. And I wake up in the morning just thinking about how much I love her. That's all I think about. Like, bro, like, the whole world can go to utter shit. But as long as she's in my life, yo, what the fuck else do I need, bro? All I care about is taking care of her and myself. Like, the whole world can go on fire. But as long as I see that my kid sees that she's safe with me, nothing else matters. Everything else is irrelevant. And that was really another turning point in the therapy sessions too, because like the more the conversations went on, the more my therapist started to see how like much I love my kid and how like fixed I am towards her, towards like things that I shouldn't have to worry about, concern myself about. I would just gear it, and then even to where like even when I'm half asleep and I'm barely functioning, yeah, I'll be a grouch or whatever. Like there was one time I was I was using the bathroom, My daughter's asking me, I'm like, kid, can I take a pee, please? Like, I just got up. Like, kid, let daddy use the bathroom first. I got you, but let me use the bathroom. Stuff like that. I mean, it's going to happen. Sometimes you got to look at life as a damn sitcom. So this is what it is, and that's all right. We got to stop acting like it's a terrible thing. But the thing is, at the end of the day, while you got people, and I understand it. Not everyone takes parenting the same way. Some people, their parents, they're freaking miserable. Absolutely miserable. Part of it because of how they grew up. Part of it because they ain't cut out to be parents. But then part of it is also because they were not given the tools, the proper tools to be equipped so that they can be better parenting, so that they can engage parenting in a more healthy way. Because let me tell you something, a person who's a miserable parent, guess what? The kids are going to see that sooner or later. They will. They will. If you are miserable as a mom, miserable at being a dad, guess what? Kids can smell that. And guess what? They'll throw that energy right back at you. They'll throw it back at you because they'll know and they can tell. When a kid is unwanted, they can smell that shit a mile away. Do not underestimate kids. If anyone is ahead of the curve when it comes to intuition at times, it's kids. Don't get me wrong, kids ain't perfect. They could be wrong about things. But when it comes to that, the most base of things, like for example, my kid can tell when I'm upset. She just could. She could also tell when I'm sick. She could tell when I'm happy. And sometimes she could tell when I'm sad. But whenever she can't, guess what? All you gotta do is verbalize. Be like, hey kid, listen, daddy's not feeling all that great today. Someone died today. And she'll get it. She'll catch on to it. She'll sometimes give me a hug, kiss. Or be like, hey, listen, daddy's got the suds and I can't leave this room. I'm really sorry. Now, if you need something, just tell me. Just give me a little space. Let me grab some gloves and I'll get it for you, okay? And she'll be like, oh, okay. It's all about communication for comprehension, cohesion, which then results into better relationships. And that's when I ended up learning therapy too. Like these are a lot of things that I had to sit down and really, with time and with a lot of practice. But then towards the end of therapy, like here was the thing, all right? For those that know, I got discharged, I think like it's been almost 2 weeks now as of this video. Not because, I'm cured. Obviously not. There's no such thing as being cured of depression and anxiety. No. But it was because the goals that were set in motion for my treatment in these past 2 years got fulfilled. My goal wasn't to be cured of depression because that shit is not happening. My goal wasn't to be cured of anxiety because that shit most definitely not happening. But the goal was to take control, navigate, and properly manage them towards where they do not interfere with my everyday living. Right? Those goals were fulfilled. So, for example, I have not had a true episode of depression in a year. Not even earlier this year when my grandfather died from my dad's side. Don't get me wrong. Saying goodbye to him was very, very heartbreaking. It was. But that whole sitting on despair, I just wasn't there. Like, I was like, I have to put it this way for you to understand. I understood, he was like, 92 years old? Dude, basically grew up through the Great Depression, World War II, probably post World War One, maybe. Like we're talking like 92 years. He lived his life. He's seen whatever it is he had to experience through his life. He wasn't perfect. I mean, there's stories about him, of course. But the thing was like, damn, 92 years. Meanwhile, here we are in a panic about people not even going past 60. The dude was robust, And I thought about it. I'm like, yo, he lived his life. He don't owe us shit. Like, I'm like, bro, he lived his life. If he wants to go, let him go. Let him go. Let him rest. He don't owe us anything. To force a dying man to keep living is cruelty.